I know you should never say never, but I'm pretty confident I'll probably never wear these things again. As I get older, my style has become more refined and I know exactly what I like now. When I look back at what I used to wear, I can specifically pick out a few things that I think were ruining my style. So today I want to share those things with you, but do keep in mind that all of this is subjective. Just because they don't suit my taste anymore doesn't mean that you shouldn't wear them, and it also doesn't mean that they're bad. I've said it many times before and I'll say it again, wear what makes you comfortable. Biker jeans. This one is going to make a lot of my OG subscribers laugh. It's biker jeans. I'm still quite surprised to see these around today. Obviously the reason I used to wear them was because they were hugely on trend and I was a very impressionable young man, so really wanted to wear trendy things. But looking back, I can confidently say they look terrible on me. Something I didn't think about at the time was how bold that biker design really is. That paneling is such a distinct and loud feature and is actually really difficult to incorporate into everyday clothing. I don't think it pairs very well with a simple t-shirt and sneakers, which is all I really wear. Especially the fashion versions of biker jeans, which are of course distilled down versions of real motorcycling trousers. A lot of workwear and motorcycling clothing does translate very well to casual fashion, the Shop Perfecto being a great example. However, biker jeans do not in my opinion, and that's why I'll probably never wear them again. Low effort dupes. Next up, I'm never gonna wear low effort dupes again. I'm all for brands having their own take on a classic item. For example, a lot of brands have reimagined the Detroit jacket in their own way with new materials, colours or other details. I've also seen brands coming out with their own versions of timeless designs, like the Shop Perfecto we mentioned earlier. However, I used to go out looking for cheap, low-effort, copycat clothes and shoes. Low-effort dupes where they'd changed basically nothing, or in some cases made them even worse than the original. And I'm not talking about replicas, by the way, which are illegal one-for-one copies. Dupes are especially prevalent in footwear, and the thing is, they're sometimes not even copying something that is out of reach in terms of price point. You could almost forgive someone for buying a dupe of something ridiculously expensive or rare, which would ordinarily be unattainable. But dupes of low to mid-range things seems pointless. And I wasted so much money on them because they never lived up to expectation. They were often made to a much worse standard, and so I ended up just buying the real thing anyway, and spent the money twice. Nowadays, I do my best to get the real thing. Sure, it takes longer because I might have to save or wait for them to come back in stock, but it's always so much more fulfilling than getting a cheap knockoff. Longline clothing. Here's another one for my OG subscribers, Longline clothing. Just like biker jeans, this was a huge trend around 9 or 10 years ago. These long length tops that were usually quite slim fitting and also had very short or tight fitting sleeves. And for me at the time, the longer the better. I remember wanting tops that hit as low as my knees. I think this trend came about because a lot of young men were looking for something new. Fashion felt a lot different back then. There weren't many choices in stores or much fashion advice out there. So when this completely new style of long line tops came about, and Jerry Lorenzo made it look good, I jumped on it. I still look back at some of those outfits and think they do look nice on the right type of person, but on me, they just looked objectively bad. It didn't suit my body type at all, and if I'm honest, I never felt very comfortable wearing them. In fact, as a lot of you know, I've ended up going the opposite way with shorter length tops because the proportions work for me, and I just feel way more confident in them. So even though I look back fondly on longline clothing because it's how my channel started, I'll probably never wear them again. Hybrid clothing. This one I haven't done so much, but I still see it everywhere these days and I cannot believe it exists. It's hybrid clothing. And by the way, hybrid does not mean the same thing as versatile. What I mean by hybrid clothing are things that are supposed to look like normal clothes, but they have some techie aspect to them. The worst culprits are things that are meant to be smart or for the office. For example, dress shoes with spongy soles. I can't figure out the actual point of these. They don't look smart enough for the office or an important meeting. And if you're able to wear casual shoes, then just wear actual casual shoes. Do yourself a favor and get a proper pair of smart shoes. You'll look so much better. Another one I always see is techwear suits or shirts. They use these horrifically named patented technologies to change the way a suit or shirt feels. But they all look so naff and not particularly suitable for an actual smarter environment because they're made from these weird materials. The thing is, suits and shirts have been perfected over hundreds of years. There's nothing anyone can do to improve them at this point, in my opinion. I'm not the biggest wearer of suits, and I usually just like something fairly affordable and easygoing, but I cannot get behind techie formal wear. Skinny fit clothes. The next thing I'll probably never wear again is skinny fit clothing. Not to be confused with slim fit, by the way, which I think is timeless and a safe bet for most people. I'm talking about skin tight jeans and tops that hug the arms and chest. Like a lot of things in today's video, I think it mostly comes down to preference and how it looks on you. I used to wear the skinniest clothes I could find, often sizing down so things were purposefully tight. It looked bad, felt uncomfortable, and just didn't suit me. I do think skinny fit clothing has a place in certain circumstances, like sportswear for example. It makes total sense because it keeps you streamlined and prevents your clothes from snagging on anything. And obviously undergarments need to be skinny to keep you warm and not interrupt the outer layers. But for top layer casual wear, I think skinny fit clothing lacks a bit of class and imagination and can come off as a bit basic. As I said though, slim fit clothing, which is crafted to subtly accentuate your natural shape without being too over the top, is still great in my opinion. Flashy branded clothes. I think a lot of people will relate to this next one. I have no interest in wearing flashy or overly branded clothes these days. I think this is just part of growing up and getting a bit more mature, but when I was younger I was so keen for people to know what brand of clothing I was wearing, so I'd always look for clothes or shoes with the loudest and most obnoxious branding. If there was a top with big spell out brand lettering, then I'd want it, or if I could get something with logos all over it, then I would. Thinking back now, it probably came off as a bit too desperate to impress. It looked kind of silly and immature and not very stylish at all, despite me thinking it was. These days I'm pretty much anti-branding. There might be the odd branded piece which looks good, but for the most part I like the versatility of non-branded items, and it makes me take a lot more consideration about what to wear and what pieces are going to work well together. I don't have that branding to hide behind, so I think a lot more about colour, proportions and silhouettes. Imitation leather. Another thing I probably won't ever wear again is imitation leather. I've spent a large part of my life cheaping out on leather goods because real high quality leather just felt too expensive and I couldn't understand what the point of it was. So I often bought fake leather jackets because I thought as long as I get the look, then I'd be good. But they never last long, often flaking apart, as well as just feeling and looking quite nasty. I know there's been advances in imitation leather, but I'm yet to find one that feels durable and robust, like it's going to stand the test of time. Even the cheapest of real leathers is going to be better than the most expensive imitation leather, in my experience anyway. Getting my aero leather jacket was a real turning point for me. The quality, smell, feel, it's just unmatched against any other material. Yes, it took me longer to save up to get it because it wasn't cheap, but now I appreciate it so much more, and I'm pretty confident that I'm never going to have to replace it, and it's just going to get better with age. I always get so disappointed when I see a beautiful looking leather jacket and it turns out to be fake leather. Hopefully the imitation leather technology improves, but for now I'm sticking with real leather. So there's some things I just don't think I'll ever wear again. Like I said, this certainly isn't a dig at anyone who does wear these things. It's all personal preference, so please just wear what you enjoy. I'd love to know if there's anything else you'd add to this list. Let me know down in the comments. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Ta-ra.